Imagine waking up one day and realizing that the greatest enemy you've ever faced lives inside you. Not outside, not in your job, your relationships, your parents, or society, but in the echoing silence of your own inner world, in the places you refuse to look, in the thoughts you suppress, and in the emotions you pretend not to feel. You smile in public, you say the right things, you try your best, but beneath the surface, something moves. It doesn't shout, it whispers. You call it procrastination, anxiety, self-sabotage, but it has another name: the shadow. Now imagine this. You're offered the opportunity of a lifetime. You say yes. You feel excited. But then you hesitate. You begin to doubt yourself. You delay the first step, and before you know it, the opportunity fades. And you call it bad luck, circumstance. But deep down, a quiet voice asks the real question. Why do I keep getting in my own way? Because the answer is terrifying. It means confronting the parts of yourself you've spent your entire life hiding. Your failures, your invisible limits. They weren't accidents. They stem from a rejected version of you, buried alive. This part holds your anger, fear, selfishness, everything you've labeled as unacceptable. And it's still there, watching, waiting, acting instinctively, not out of evil, but protection. Carl Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." You want to grow. You read the books, set goals, affirm your future, but something pulls you back. You don't understand why you sabotage your own success, why you crave validation, but hate being seen, why you're afraid of being powerful, but terrified of being nothing. The shadow doesn't destroy you all at once. It undermines you moment by moment. It whispers, play small, stay safe, be who they expect. But staying safe is killing you. There is a war between the self you show the world and the self you buried. And the longer it rages, the more your potential bleeds into dreams deferred, talents wasted, paths untaken. Ask yourself, what if you're not blocked by what you lack, but by what you refuse to face?
There is a part of you that knows something isn't right. No matter how much you achieve or how well you perform, something inside remains unsettled. It echoes in your quietest moments. It's the suspicion that you are not whole. So you chase success, validation, love, hoping to fill the void. But the void persists, because avoidance isn't healing. What you ignore doesn't disappear, it grows stronger. Jung described the shadow as the dark side of the psyche, not evil, but made up of everything the conscious ego rejects: shame, rage, guilt, envy, fear. As children, we were wild, real, but we were told, don't cry, don't be so loud, be good. And so we learned love was conditional. We wore a mask to be accepted. What didn't fit, we buried. But the parts we bury don't vanish. They fester, and from the shadows, they sabotage, not out of hate, but because they remember the pain. They whisper, stay small. If they see the real you, they'll leave. Your shadow isn't concerned with your goals. It wants survival. Success equals exposure. It sabotages. Love equals vulnerability. It pushes away. Speaking truth equals rejection. it shuts you down. The paradox: you want to grow, but your unconscious still protects the child who learned authenticity was dangerous. Schopenhauer said, "A man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills." Your shadow is personal, but also collective. For men, it may hold tenderness, vulnerability. For women, it may hold rage, ambition. Society teaches what to reject, so we inherit a distorted map of self. And we live as strangers to our own instincts: fire, joy. Sartre warned of bad faith, living inauthentically to conform. We smile when we want to scream, say yes when we mean no, stay where we don't belong, because we fear being alone with ourselves. But what if the shadow holds your fire, your truth, your genius? Nietzsche said, "You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." The shadow is that chaos, and without it, you are tame, approved of, but lost. And so the sabotage begins. The shadow shows up in the life you're living, in abandoned goals, in toxic patterns, in chronic self-doubt, not because you're broken, because a younger part of you is protecting your pain. Until you bring the shadow into the light, it will keep sabotaging the life you were born to live.
At first, it looks like small hesitations. You downplay strengths, choose relationships that confirm old wounds. You call it realism, but it's fear. And the cost: repeating painful loops, emotionally, professionally, spiritually. Freud called it repetition compulsion, unconsciously recreating old wounds. You choose unavailable partners or jobs that undervalue you. And the shadow says, "See, this is why we stay small." And it projects. You see in others what you reject in yourself. You despise arrogance because it mirrors your own buried confidence. You loathe neediness because it echoes your unmet needs. The more you fear failure, the more you expect it. You filter reality through pain, and your worldview becomes a prison. Society reinforces this. Your disconnection makes you easier to control. Someone ashamed of their body will keep buying. Someone afraid of rejection won't speak truth to power. Huxley warned that comfort, not tyranny, would numb us, and he was right. We are sedated by screens, distraction, performance. But you can't heal what you refuse to feel. You suffer quietly. The tragedy? You confuse survival with living. And the deeper cost? You disconnect from your gifts. The shadow holds your creativity, your truth, your boundaries, your brilliance. When you suppress it, you dim. And this hollowness echoes across generations, partnerships, purpose. Not because you're flawed, but because you abandon the parts of you that needed love most.
There is no shortcut through the shadow. You don't heal by rising above it. You heal by going into it, not to destroy it, but to understand it. This is the rebellion, to descend willingly. The journey begins with courage, not clarity. Ask yourself, where am I pretending? What part of me am I ashamed of? Who taught me it wasn't safe to be me? The shadow contains your power. Your anger, it holds your boundaries. Your envy, it reveals desire. Your fear, it signals transformation. You don't reclaim them intellectually. You integrate. It means writing to the self you hated,
screaming to release, telling the truth and being witnessed, and taking full responsibility. Not guilt, ownership. You may have been wounded, but you choose whether to keep bleeding into the future. This is the second rebellion. Stop waiting to be saved. Healing requires truth. It looks like yelling when you've been silent, crying without shame, saying no without explaining. The shadow holds your genius, your art, your insight, your fire. So don't just heal. Create from the shadow. Make meaning from pain. Turn wounds into wisdom. This is soul retrieval, not self-help. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be whole. Yes, people will leave. Yes, parts of your life will fall away. But what remains will be real. The shadow is not your end. It's your origin. Eventually, the lies stop working. The masks crack, and you meet the truth. You are not afraid of your darkness. You are afraid of your power. The shadow doesn't sabotage because it's weak, but because it's strong. The fear isn't failure, it's success. No more masks, no more excuses. The shadow you ran from is your liberation. Your pain? It's a map. Your fragmentation? A call home. Jung taught, the shadow contains the self, not the curated self, the real one. You don't need to become someone new. You need to become who you are without distortion. You are never broken, just scattered, and the pieces are still there, the fire, the voice, the truth, the worthiness. The shadow doesn't need to die. It needs to be embraced. Wholeness is terrifying to a fragmented world. A whole person cannot be manipulated. They don't seek permission to exist. This is why the journey matters. To live not from performance or fear, but from truth. Yes, it will cost you, but what you gain is real, a self that cannot be taken. And once you've met your shadow, you will never betray yourself for approval again, because you will know the thing you feared was never your weakness. It was your power waiting. The shadow is not the end, it's the beginning. You were never meant to be perfect. You are meant to be whole. And wholeness means facing the dark to reclaim the light. Now, ask yourself, will you keep running, or will you finally come home to the self you left behind?